Welcome to This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty, the number one destination for Seinfeld fans. This is Two Up and Two Down. Here's our producer, Chris, to start us off.
All right, welcome back for another episode of Two Up and Two Down. And today we have a season 2 classic, The Chinese Restaurant. And to start things off, let's go over to you, Chris. What do you have for your first up?
Chinese restaurants. I mean, one of the most, I would say, polarizing episodes from critics and Pink Hat fans to us. But there's a lot of good ups in this. And I'm going to start with, like I said, George and Jerry, their conversations are just special. So there were two specifically where they had kind of side-off conversations away from Elaine. Obviously, George with the whole phone thing. If anything happens here, can I count on you? I mean, I love that. These two guys in their early 30s talking about getting in a fight at a Chinese restaurant. And then obviously the whole Tatiana like taking a shit story. Obviously Elaine didn't want to hear any part of that. It just, I don't know, it's just great stuff. Things you can only tell your closest friends, obviously. Someone's going to get your back, and then obviously talking about trying to take a shit and get that in there. Jerry and George, those side conversations, my first one up.
Right, yeah, no, very good. Yeah, I like that too. Sony, what do you got for your first up here?
Yeah, I mean, this one's another one that I kind of go back and forth with a lot. I've already changed my grade twice since we've been just like talking about this. While O'Hara was talking, I think I just changed my grade. I'm all over the place at the Chinese restaurant, to be honest with you. I think I'm gonna. So my up. So this is what we're doing here. We're not doing grades yet. I got ahead of myself here, but because I'm thinking, I'm overthinking this one, but my first thumb up for this one is George, and we've talked about this guy before, but the guy on the phone and George, when he comes over to Jerry, if anything happens here, can I count on you? Just an amazing George line. Look at his outfit, everything's so coordinated, his socks match his shirt. We're living in a society. We're supposed to act in a civilized way. I love George just getting frustrated with the guy on the payphone. Watching it live for those that were around then when payphones were still a thing. It's the only payphone in the place. George needs to make this call, and this guy is just rubbing him the wrong way. He's got his matching outfit with his fucking scarf, and George is ready to throw down. He says to Jerry, if anything goes down, you're gonna count on you. I mean, that's just a great Costanza line. That's my thumbs up. Is George just getting frustrated with the guy on the phone?
Well, yeah, that's what I like about doing these episodes with you guys, is that I don't know what your ups or downs are going to be, but my personal note was, an up being George and all those lines you just said about him. So, Chris, what do you got for your second up?
All right, so we had a similar first up there.
Right.
My second one up is Elaine. I'm tough on Elaine later years, but I mean, she brought it. I mean, from the $50 bit, the bet bit, right? To I feel like going there and taking food off someone's plate, and then her actually going over there, and Larry David's voice is at the table. What's she doing here? So to remember that time when you first went out to eat with your parents? Like, she just tells really great stories. Even when Jerry met the other woman, like just her face there smiling and obviously finally bailing Jerry out, to bribing James Hong in an uncomfortable fashion, to her talking about Sky Burger. I mean, Elaine brought it in the Chinese restaurant. I mean, her facial expressions at the table, talking about the bet, to obviously Sky Burger and everything else. Just great Elaine early on. So that's my one up. Giving kudos to early Elaine here, and she brought it.
All right, very good. Yeah, Elaine, yeah, terrific. Tony, what do you got for your second up here?
Yeah, you stole my other up. In the interest of the show, I'm gonna go somewhere else with this, but I totally agree. I had all that written down. The Larry David voice even. But my second up is we're gonna have to call it out. I'll take it. Cartwright, James Hong just playing that role to a fucking T. I say she says curse word, just the whole thing there with, when Elaine tries to slip the tip and he just doesn't not understand what's going on. His banter with Mr. Cohen. I mean, I have Cohen written down as an up, actually, what stinks in here, that guy. I just love, he's always here. What does that mean? He's always here, that's my up is just, James Hong just delivering a great performance there, very understated and just, oblivious to the whole situation. We've all been there where it's like you're passed over by that person just by that fucking podium in the restaurant. They're controlling everything. They're letting people in and then you're not getting it. Mr. Cohen is, love it. Cartwright for that's my second thumbs up.
Yeah, I mean, we love the guest stars, and James Hong was certainly a great one in this episode. Downs. I'm very interested to hear about the downs on this episode. I have one or two of my own, but it's you guys. We got to hear from you. So, Chris, what's your first down?
First down is actually kind of the opening scene, and it's just because I've heard this joke a million times in Jerry's stand-up, and he actually brought it to the show, is the whole policeman, garbage man stand-up bit. It just didn't flow. It took a while for this episode to just kind of get going, and I feel like they forced this little Jerry stand-up bit. I saw him do it on SNL. Like he's a million times I've seen it, and it's in this episode. Pick up a broom. Like didn't fit. And again, I think they struggled in this episode on how to kind of kick off the episode. So that's my one down is the policeman garbage man bit.
No, yeah, fair enough. I agree with that too. Tony, what do you got over for your?
No, 100% agree with that. That was one of my downs. He stole it, but that's okay. Yeah, 100%. That's a down in my book as well. My down though, I'm gonna go with no Kramer. I get it, early on they there was a Penn episode. I think the Penn episode delivers without Kramer and without George. We all know Jason Alexander was pissed about that. Never again, the whole thing. I think this episode lacking Kramer actually brings it down a little bit. I think, I don't know what Kramer would have done, but I feel like he would have done something and we would have got a laugh, at least one laugh out of Kramer in this episode. I think him not being there, him still being a recluse, they didn't know what to do with him yet. It's still early on. We're talking season 2. I think no K-Man, I think it misses a tad not having him there. I think him being in the fold would have brought something to the table. So that's my down is missing Kramer.
Well, yeah, Tony, you hit the nail on the head with me. I had that written down as a down myself. No Kramer. I would have liked to imagine, even if it was just for a minute, he comes in last minute and the restaurant owner recognizes Kramer, goes, "Oh, Mr. Kramer," and then he's able to get him a seat right away. And then everybody's like, "Oh, Kramer, you saved the day," or something like that. But yeah, that was a down for me, certainly no Kramer. So Chris, what do you have for your first down?
It's an interesting episode. There's not, I can't find many downs. So like I said, I'm pulling lines that just don't jive to the character. There's a lot here, but when they're doing the whole bribing bit and George jumps in, he goes, "I once tried to bribe an usher at a roller derby." What? Like, I don't know. It first off, I can't picture George at a roller derby, number one. And number two, like, just, I think, again, these early episodes, I think a little bit of overwriting. I don't think there was even a need for George to chime in there, but he did. and obviously I had a slight problem with it. So that's my one down is George's roller derby bribing line.
Yeah, seems kind of out of place. So Tony, what do you have for your second down here?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with O'Hara on this one. I don't have a lot of downs written down. You know, doesn't mean this is the greatest episode of all time. Just means it's a slow episode, right? We're talking season 2. Obviously, they're in Chinese restaurant the whole time. Not a lot there to kind of pull from. And he already took one of my downs, which was that opening the garbage man stuff. So I can use it. I can use it, but I won't. I'm going to give my second down, and this might be a little bit. Yeah, I think people will disagree with me on this one, but I don't love the ending. I get it. That wraps it up. They leave. Then it's Seinfeld 4. I just think it's in line with season 2 endings. The subway does it. The statue does it. It's very, very sitcom-y ending. Very kind of bring it all together. The funny little like punchline at the end with the whole, Seinfeld 4. Now that now they would have the table. I don't know. That's my down. I don't even agree with it as much as I'm saying it out loud, but I don't have a lot of downs written down, and I think I just feel like it's a silly, like kind of easy, like that's the ending now. They don't get the table and the table gets called and ha ha ha, right? So I don't know. That's the down. I got to stick with the down. I probably should have just reused Chris's, but I'm going to go with my own on that one. And the ending, just it wraps it up. And this is a weird way to say it, but too nicely, if you will. I don't know. That's my down.
I mean, I get a laugh out of it. I really don't have an issue with that, but again, that's like you said, you tough to pull a down out of this episode. So the thing that we have left is the final grade. Chris, what do you have for your grade here?
Yeah, Seinfeld 4, nothing better. But listen, you're an analyst. You got to be tough. So tough but fair. Listen, this was the 16th episode ever. You guys mentioned Kramer. I actually didn't have a problem with Kramer not being in this. You don't want to force things. Again, season 2, you don't really picture Kramer at a nice restaurant. Not that he's a little kid. He does his own thing, I'm not calling the Chinese restaurant a nice restaurant, but he's more of a Monk's guy, and that's what he is. I love that, again, knowing the history of this show, Larry David didn't budge. Like, this is the episode we're writing. And, the network wanted to pull it, and he said no. Man, I respect that. Again, this is after the fact. I get it. But, again, it's going a little bit into my thought process here on me really enjoying this episode. You mentioned James Hong. I mean, he's right up there, right? I mean, as far as memorable, Cartwright, you cannot laugh when you think about it, right? Some really great. I mean, if I had to pick someone I think George and Elaine carry the episode. Jerry meeting the Uncle Leo's friend from work. I don't know. It could have done without that, I suppose. Long story short, like I said, it's a polarizing episode either way, but to be fair as an analyst and a grader, I'm going to give this a B- for the Chinese restaurant. I tinkered on B just because of the history of it, but I think B- is a fair grade.
Okay, I'll go along with that. And Tony, what do you have for your final grade here?
I'm glad you gave that grade. I'm glad you went first because I was going back and forth with my grade so much on this episode. I can't even begin to tell you. I've already changed it like 3 times while we've been doing this. I've changed it 3 times. And I'm glad you went first there, O'Hara, because I think you landed on the right grade. I think I'm also going to give it a B-. I've gone as low as a C+, and I've gone as high as a B twice already. And I've been thinking about other grades I've given other episodes. I think the reason this gets a B minus and not anything lower is for everything you mentioned. The sentimental value of this episode, when it aired live, plays a huge role in this for me. Just the fact that what it holds in sitcom lore of the show about nothing and all that crap you want to talk about. You know, it's slow, yes. What is it about? Who knows? It's got Costanza. I mean, your opening one up is one of the best. You know, George talking about going to the bathroom in a small apartment. That's New York City in a fucking nutshell. We've all been there. These little apartments. You got to take a shit. What do you do? You know, if anything goes down, what am I? Yeah, it's enough there. Enough there behind. You know, enough there live. Enough there. You know, in Seinfeld lore that this can't go too low. You know, is it the greatest episode of all time? No, but you know, I almost want to give it a B because of all of that, but it's just not strong enough. I think B minus was fair. Again, I'm glad you went first because I think I'm gonna just piggyback off it. I think B minus is my grade as well. It's Chinese restaurant, B minus.
All right, well, there you have it, folks. That's the Chinese restaurant, 2 up, 2 down. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.